Real quick, I got a question for Kerry before we start. All right, we can start with the pledge. Let's start with Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We got a couple things to add to the agenda.
We do. Under consent agenda, there was an additional tobacco license renewal for Two Inlands Country Store that was asked to be added. In addition, after County Administrator, an addition for Brian Malone, he would like to come in and speak to the commission with regards to requesting approval for the Crow Wing River Comprehensive Watershed Plan.
Put that 3 under you.
You could, sure. And then in addition, under me, I just would like to add an additional item, which I had emailed out to talk about commission, the per diems and the additional items for per diem pay for commissioners.
Did you want to, well, yeah, that's good. On December, we'll have to figure out salaries for commissioners next year. I don't know, who do you want that to go through? Finance or
Yeah, there'll be a
recommendation?
resolution coming to clear up some of that stuff and then whatever.
So in the past, I can certainly be a part of that and bring some information. I don't know how you've done it in the past.
I think it's been kind of finance
Finance gets together and
and just,
The two commissioners from finance, is that okay? And that would be fine with me.
it doesn't matter to me what.
But yeah, we need to get it set
Mary
prior
is
to.
involved in that.
Okay,
generally it's been what's
okay.
quoted. But
Yes, that is on my radar, but thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Erica and Dave. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes of the November 5th.
I have one. Imagine that. So,
Comma or?
no, not a comma. But on page 3 of 4, we're under resolution number 3, where it says return 52,000, should it say 250,000?
But we only got the
We only
52
received-
We only received the 52. Okay. All right. Perfect. That was all I had.
Mr. Chair, on page 3 of, this isn't a correction, it's in addition to the wordage, so it's not, everything's perfect. I would just like to, on the first, under number 5 on the top of the page for the airport, I just would like it to be noted when we say approve resolution 1C, capital contribution to the Detroit Lakes Airport, basically. It should be stated in the minutes that it's a loan, that this will be paid back. Because that, if you're just reading the minutes,
Yeah.
you'd think we're giving them that, but it's
Yeah.
a loan to be paid back on a monthly.
Payment.
Erica?
I don't have anything.
Richard? I don't have anything either. Motion to approve minutes as amended.
Mr. Chairman?
Uh.
A correction to the minutes, please, if I may.
What type of correction?
The open forum failed to recognize two people who spoke. Mr. Daggett and myself both spoke in favor of the project, while you list several others who spoke against. I'd like that correction to be made if possible.
I'd ask if they spoke that they be listed also with the,
Yeah. That's
But
fair.
I don't know that they were,
I don't know that Mr.
Did they-
Daggett spoke till later in the
He
meeting.
spoke during
Dow spoke late,
he spoke later, yeah.
not an open forum.
Yep.
Delta, yeah, he spoke at the time of the,
Yeah.
Willis did speak at open forum though, I believe.
Yes, he did.
Okay. With that additional, motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the additions.
So
Dave, Barry?
I'll second, but Mr. Chair, then Mr. Daggetts will not be noted in the open forum because it was later during the
Right.
session that he spoke.
Yeah.
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. going through the consent agenda, we added those,
2 inlets.
well, one, I guess, the
Yeah.
tobacco
Yeah.
license. Anything on there that somebody wants to pull?
I'd like to pull 15.
Okay,
Okay.
I was also wondering, you know, Richard and I had a lot of discussion about number 13.
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
So I guess I would like to just have a little bit
Yeah.
more discussion about when to use it, not necessarily whether or not we should
Pull 13 and 15.
go.
When, that's probably, we could probably discuss that too. Where do these go then? Do they just go right after consent agenda to pull, or do they go under, do we?
Under administrator's report, maybe?
I'd put them under, being the commissioner's pull, put them under commissioner
Okay. Yeah.
discussion there.
You know, maybe for, if, you know, I think I saw Denise pop up, if like Denise is not on the agenda, I think we put them right after the consent and discuss it right away, because then they can move on in their day if they don't want
Okay.
to sit. But
Yeah,
if
I
they're
think that
on the
makes sense.
agenda, then we could put them on during their agenda time. Might
That's
be,
fine.
might be the way to
That
move
makes
forward.
sense. Sure.
Okay, with items 14 and 15 being pulled for further discussion right after.
13 and
13 and 15.
13, excuse me, wrong circle. Is there a motion to approve?
Didn't we have a motion a second to approve?
Not the
Oh.
consent agenda.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Barry,
I'll second.
Erica? Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, then. And we'll go to item 13 that we pulled.
So item 13, we had a lot of discussion, and I think, you know, one thing that I don't know that we really came to a conclusion about, and I guess for me, I would just like more discussion amongst the board, is when to use the temporary contract. You know, we're going into a contract allows us to, when it's needed, it's there for us to use. And in here, and I see in the finance budget, or in the finance minutes, she said, Denise had said only if it's within budget. So would there ever be a time that if it's not within budget, is that when it would need to come to the board, or does it need to come to the board or the human services?
Well,
Because it has the potential of
concern
costing some money.
The concern I had, I mean, I have some concerns about it just because you could justify that in a lot of ways. I mean, I have pretty good faith, but if we do this, I would like it to probably be also the committee and administrator to sign off on that temporary hire too. Because I mean, I think it's kind of a big deal if you have I mean, those are significant, you know, the wages were what, 57 to 60 something per hour? I mean, so it's significant dollars that could be. And I think it's quite obvious when you'd use it when you have a vacancy and you're short, just like the attorneys who were short and they had to do some extra hours for, I think, the interns. So I think there's times when that's appropriate, but when it's within budget, I mean, that's a pretty broad term and on that human service budget. And basically, we're always under budget in some area where you could pull if that's what you mean. Maybe if you maybe specific itemized to that line item of staffing under that.
If the staffing, and Denise did say that their staffing is because they do, you know, have vacancies, you know, typically in human services that they do have, are typically under budget for, just that they could
Right.
take it, but
They're under budget totally, but
yeah.
are they under budget in that specific line item? I mean, you can be under budget totally all the time. I mean, basically. So.
And one spot that we thought it would be useful for is if a social worker is out on maternity leave, where they're gone for, you know, 2 to 3 months at a time. That to me makes sense, but then sometimes we're paying that social worker on maternity leave wages while also would be paying this then. So I just wanted to have more discussion, I guess, on the board just to see what kind of direction.
Denise, you want to weigh on it? Denise, you
I can
wanna-
do that, sure. So we want the contract in place to be able to use it, and you know, that's up to all of you how we can get if we decide to use it, who should approve it. I don't have any problem with that. I will say that our payroll is about 85% of our budget. And there is, that's usually the cost savings overall in our budget. Year after year is because our budget is 18 million. And if 85% of that is payroll, there's bound to be cost savings in payroll, and we would carefully weigh that before we made a decision to place someone. And we often have vacancies. We wouldn't utilize this contract at all every time there's vacancies. Just if for some reason it wouldn't work in a certain area to be able, because usually we'll look at spreading the work across a number of staff first. We'll certainly always do that first. And so, yeah, that's
Well, I
where
think
that's right.
if there's a need to bring it through
Committee, I would like to go through committee and then, but also too, sometimes the committee meets once a month, so it could be at a bad timing. So maybe just
You
the
could
Could call a
commission,
meeting.
call a meeting with the commissioners maybe, and then, and the supervisor and you.
Well, I
Well,
don't know. Wouldn't.
No, you
wouldn't
two
our
guys.
Administrator.
Yeah, and then have her sign off, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't know if we need, I just don't wanna hold them up. If
No, I
they
don't wanna
need
hold them
one
up
of
either,
these
yeah.
People, she uses.
No, I have complete faith in our
Yeah.
our leadership, but I would like committee to be notified. You
Yeah,
don't have to have a
that-
special
Right,
meeting, but
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
But then-
Yes,
Notify
she can
them.
call us,
Yes.
whenever she's got
Yeah.
something, she calls
a
us.
call or email to the committee members
Yeah.
and then move forward with administrators all, I mean, you don't have to have it on any agenda, it just has to.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, I just don't want
Denise
it to really
contacts the
short.
committee and Carrie and
If committee's okay and Carrie's okay, then
Yeah.
so.
So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
I'll second.
Motion by Eric, second by Richard. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 15.
just a couple things I had a question for Steve. If it's over an acre, then we have to get a pollution control permit, correct?
I'm not sure if you go on that because it's already a permitted site
Okay,
under the permit or under the auspices of MPCA.
okay. I was just checking on that, because anything over an acre where they have to go through. But if you're already complete, you should be good.
We had a little bit of discussion yesterday. It's a permitted site and we can do some land alterations and stuff within.
Earlier, when we went through this permitting cycle, that was an exception that I put in the permit. where we used it and
Okay.
To allow us to move the fence back to expand that area. At that time, it was already included in our permit. To do it, we just never got it.
I would double check on that permit just to make sure we're within compliance. Or if you just did under an acre, it's just what, 1.8? I would maybe, if it's not permitted,
We need it though, we need the room. Have you seen that shingle pile?
no, but if you need to go through that, it might, I was just wondering if there's a,
0.95 acres.
yeah, it's two 9.5 acre
Yeah.
sites. But it might add a little time or it should be okay, but hopefully it's okay, because if it's not, we'd have to mitigate water there and, then the other thing, I was kind of, the low quote was 22,000, so I'm fine with taking the low quote, but what's the extra 5,000 for? Why would we add 5,000 just for in case?
Well, there's two things that came up. One is slope on that's probably about a 4% slope on that area. And then the thing drops off a little bit. If we needed to haul extra fill in there and/or around that site in the past, there could have been things that were buried that you run a process that we have to mitigate that.
So you're asking, I just didn't like the way it was worded, so you want authorization to have a 5,000 change order, basically, $5,000.
Yeah, I suppose.
Everything, wouldn't it be a change order?
Yeah.
Contingency?
Change order to the original quote.
Contingency.
Okay. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the low quote and the 5,000 contingency.
I'll second.
Boyd Excavating.
Motion by Barry, second by Richard. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Steve.
You know, and as we move forward in the future, coming into the new year, I mean, I don't want to be a board that just has a consent agenda and make one motion and approve it and move on and leave the room, especially with a new commissioner coming on. And I just think more of this discussion is better at the board level, so we understand, so everyone understands a little bit better what's in front of us. But
I think for the most part, contracts are okay. You know, like the human services contracts, those are all.
well, if we
I mean,
want to
with
if we ever want to understand them, but I mean, this
That's
sheet was
probably
very
just me.
good.
Yeah.
Because it helps understand what each one of these, because trying to read a 30-page agreement is really difficult
A
to,
lot of them are just more or less renewals.
Yep.
Yeah.
For the year, so.
but thank you.
Nate, is anybody for open forum back there? You put your name on the list? Yeah. Okay,
How am I here?
like that. Kelly, state your name and address.
Okay.
Good morning. I'm Kelly Phelan. I just moved to Becker County just a few weeks ago, actually. I live at 35380 East Boot Lake Road in Park Rapids, or outside of Park Rapids, just south of Itasca State Park. For the last few years, I've been working to create public awareness about the issue that those who are convicted of possessing, distributing, and producing child sexual abuse materials receive extremely weak sentences, which does nothing to help protect victims and prevent future victims of these heinous crimes. 90% of those convicted of possession get little to no jail time. Probation has proven to show that it does nothing to stop them from creating more victims. I realize this may not be a high priority for you right now, but I would strongly encourage you to join other counties in the Northland and add this to your legislative priorities. This issue is inextricably linked to the sex trafficking industry. Child sexual abuse materials are fuel for the traffickers to groom, abuse, and desensitize their victims. The language of the bill that will be introduced in the 2025 legislative session by Representative Krista Knudsen in its current form is HF 432. Over the years that this legislation has been introduced by Representative Matt Grossel, it has had bipartisan support, but unfortunately there have been key people that have been obstacles for passing this legislation. Their main objections have been that they don't want a mandatory minimum sentence, even for the worst of these offenders, and that it would increase incarceration costs. Their objections ring hollow when you look into the face of a little child that's been raped and tortured on camera for all the world to see, and their lives literally shattered. The ripple effect of these crimes is widespread, from the mental health of the law enforcement that rescues the victims and investigates these crimes, to the current and future families of these children. The drug abuse rate is also a factor in these cases, as the victims try to find ways to cope with the trauma they've been subjected to. This should be a high priority for your county, as trafficking cases have been reported in every single county in Minnesota. Although I did get some recent stats from the BCA that they said Becker County hasn't had any reports in the last 4 years, but it's everywhere. Downloading of CSAM is also happening at an astronomically growing rate, according to the BCA, in every county in Minnesota, especially since the 2020 lockdowns. This leads me to another related issue. I would like to encourage you to be supportive of private organizations that come into your county and want to provide support and housing for trafficked victims. In the long run, private organizations providing these services will take pressure off the current county services that are being provided and ultimately save the taxpayers some money, which should be a top priority for anyone in public office. For the record, law enforcement from across the state have been extremely supportive of our efforts on all of these counts, as they are demoralized when having to arrest the same people over and over again for the same crimes. They are on the front lines to provide help every time another victim is created. I appreciate your time and attention to these critical issues, and I do have a handout that has some information on it that I can give you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. John, what was the commissioner that, he actually at AMC, he was the president, and he led the charge for this. This was a top topic for us at our statewide convention.
Oh, good.
Just a couple years ago. I can see him, I just can't remember. Anyway, he championed this cause for counties, and it gained a lot of attention from us. So it is significant issue, and I know I've had contact or talked with Sheriff Glander, and of course, we don't want to publicize what we're trying to do or what his office is trying to do to catch local, perpetrators in either trafficking or just going after the people engaging in the activity. But it is important, and I think Sheriff Glander takes it very important too. And I think there's things going on that we don't know about, because if everyone knew about it, then it wouldn't be very effective probably. So,
Right.
but thank you for your time. I think this is
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Just to clarify, the bill is HF 432, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Willis.
That issue does you do forget about it. But it's everywhere. And if it affects everyone's lives, I mean, because there's somebody that you might not even know, but it's affecting someone in your life. And that's, whether it's just pornography or prostitution or trafficking but it's out there and it's in every county. So, thank you for the awareness.
Willis.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Willis Mattson. I live out in Toad Lake Township. I didn't know whether the comp plan would be on your agenda for approval today. I think maybe it'll come up for final review next month. But in any case, I'm here to speak for the Isaac Walton League's involvement in the comp plan process, and would like to compliment the board and staff for responding to requests from the public to deal with the issues of wake boats in particular. I want to be sure that there is some sort of narrative in the plan that memorializes the decision, policy, and procedure that folks can follow now when wake boat issues arise, both to inform the public that the process exists, provide instruction how to use it, and to memorialize the decision for the public record. Secondly, we'd like to compliment the board on the revisions with regard to enhancing or advancing shoreland development, that to de-emphasize further development of our lakeshore property in order to protect the quality of life and the quality of those lakes was important. So we appreciate that revision in the emphasis and hope that's reflected in the narrative of the plan and in the revised maps. The third issue is one that's still outstanding, and that's how to deal with industrial agriculture. The mapping is going to be critical to support the comp plan, and we're hoping that there will be a definition of the sizes of operations that are allowed in each of the categories, Ag 1 and Ag 2, to make that clear, and that the map then reflects the areas where those will be approved or not approved. The report that the Ikes prepared on that made it clear that there's a high probability of both surface and groundwater contamination from these large industrial operations, both row crop, irrigated agriculture, and large livestock operations. And so we would like to be intimately involved in the development of the map and the criteria that go into deciding where those facilities will or will not be allowed. We want to examine the soils, slopes, and setbacks in terms of their efficacy to protect surface and groundwaters. Current siting criteria are almost virtually, based on our report, would guarantee contamination of both surface and groundwaters, and we think that should be unacceptable as long as that's known. The record clearly shows that will happen in places that are vulnerable, and we think that the map should assure people that those will not be approved in places that are vulnerable. I think the county set an important precedent with the past operation that was Pro's swine operation in western part of the county,
where it was important to put a condition on a conditional use permit that requires water quality monitoring. We'd like to see that idea fleshed out so it's most specific as to the purpose and the design and the results of that water quality monitoring. So we support the retention of that condition on those operations. And finally, we'd like to request a continuation of full public participation in the ordinance and zoning map development, because that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. The narrative in the comp plan describes policy and goals and this kind of thing, but the map is the one that is the one that is operational in terms of making these decisions, and then the ordinances, of course, flow from that. So we would hope that there would be a working session specifically with the focus on industrial agriculture, both row crop and industrial, similar to the work sessions that you've had in the past, where we could focus more in depth on the content of the report that we produced and the possible solutions in ordinance and mapping for industrial agriculture in the county. So with that, if there are any questions, I'm happy to stand for those, but we look forward to continuing to participate. Really appreciate the work that staff and board did on the wake boats and lakeshore development. We want to continue that with the industrial agriculture issue.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phyllis.
Thanks, Willis.
Anybody else speak to open forum? Move on to reports and correspondence. Who wants to?
I can go first. I only had a couple meetings these past couple weeks. One was Human Services, which most of what we had was on the agenda. And then I had our Housing Subcommittee where we really just discussed some upcoming leases that we have on some of our properties through the EDA, and then some of our goals for next year. So that was all I had. Short and sweet.
Yeah, besides the meetings that we all attended, the tribal meeting, I think that went fairly well.
Yep.
And
That
the
did.
road, was it the
Road
road tour
tour.
after
Road
that?
tour,
So
yeah.
that went
That
well.
went real well.
So I think I attended a TEP meeting for zoning yesterday for something that's being, so the technical panel and reviewed it and I sat in, so it's nice to hear the tech panel, what their concerns are at that stage, and so that was, and I thank Kyle for involving me. And then the only other meeting I think I had was the NRM. Had an update on the Dunton Locks building, and John, I'm sure you've been out there looking at it more than anyone, so
Yesterday.
is it looking pretty good? It's shelled up and,
They're doing some of the site leveling a little bit, some of that. There's, I think, one dead tree to come down yet on the bank. Nothing much to the building has been done in the last week because we're waiting for the stonemasons to come out and do some stuff.
Thanks.
Steel is out probably 4 weeks,
what did we have for demo or on the old one? Are we next year?
possibly.
We'll look at that.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably have to have, figure out more parking because it's used more all the time, so.
Yeah, and Steve, I think, was going to get a hold of, or Mitch was going to get a hold of Jason Brisson from VF, and there's a few things out there that they might want,
Yeah.
plaques and stuff, so.
And then we looked at the rental rate of it. I think we set that, but there was clarification. Did we mean $200 with $100 refundable? That's what we kind of thought what we meant to?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't clear if we meant $200 plus $100,
Yeah.
but, so we said it was 200 plus,
Plus
that
100.
included the $100 deposit that they could get reimbursed, so it'd be $100
Yeah,
charge with a $100 additional deposit.
And that's fairly reasonable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we want to keep it fairly reasonable
Yeah.
because there's, the people that use it are,
Yeah, we want everybody to be able to.
and one other thing that we talked about in our RAC committee about that building is they're going to put cameras and electronic locks on the doors so they can come out.
The
Yeah.
electronic lock, that'll become a change order through their contract.
Yep, mhm.
But we want to be able to, say at 10 o'clock, lock the
Lock doors, yeah.
yeah.
And the camera system really for security and see a new building out there.
Then we just had a quick update at Bucks Mills is moving forward to take out the dam. I don't know where they are in the process of funding that, where the funding is, but that's moving forward. We had Toad Mountain discussion, and someone there wanted us to redo that and bring it. Richard, I think, wanted us to.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it back one more time.
One more run. No, so we didn't, there was no discussion on that. We looked at some 2025 potential land sales parcels, and Mary is going to put together, she brought a list together, and she's very knowledgeable on her parcels, but we're not. So she was rattling off stuff where we were a little behind on trying to figure out what it was. Just to point out too, there was a couple members of the, representing the tribal council there. Again, very, very good, was Dave and the head of the, lady with the head of the natural resource thing. So that, I mean, it's very, very good to have them there.
Well, they are very good to work with.
Yeah.
They are.
Yep.
And then we moved down to timber sales, and they're supportive.
Yeah, the staff.
They're supportive of the timber sales moving forward. There's areas, there's things that the foresters now are working on the ground to figure out if there's any issues, on a potential sale prior to. So I think they're getting in front of it, so we don't get any of the issues that we've had in the past here. So, just some forest road maintenance. We want to. And we got input from the tribal members or tribal representatives that were there on which roads should have some more upgrading or some more maintenance on them. So that was discussed, and then we did credit card review. Anything else? Richard, I think that was about it.
We did, and we're not gonna be able to finish those forest roads, but then we're gonna work on them again next year, Barry.
Oh, yeah, it's every year, but I think they're trying to prioritize which ones are most trafficked. And I think that's a fine line. And I think those that even want better roads agree that you want them accessible, but you don't want them so everyone can go out there all the time. I mean, I think if we got them too good, there'd be, we got too many people out there. So we want to make them reasonable, and there's some bad spots that we just have to figure out how to. And I think Mitch said they're trying to do that rock how was that? Where it's more rock, and then so the water can flow it, and then there's a shallow.
Yeah, they just put in, I can't remember, it was about baseball sized rock. Is that what it was, Barry?
Yeah. But I would recommend, these aren't roads to be traveled with with a car unless you have some clearance and some all-wheel drive. So I would not recommend, I would not recommend an old classic car go down these trails. So. But I think
Jerry's not here to hear
they
that.
should be passable. But I think that was it for my report.
One other thing up at the tribal meeting, first thing, the vice chair, I believe he was, it's.
Larock?
Yeah.
Secretary Treasurer.
Yeah, secretary. His big concern was the overdoses that they're having up on the reservation. I was wondering if we saw uptick, and probably you guys from the sheriff have gotten more of an update off reservation within the county, what could be done. Well,
Yeah, I talked with Carrie about that at that meeting, that would be something, maybe not necessarily for the board unless we're seeing it, a huge issue, but maybe for Sheriff Glander to be communicating that with somebody.
It's difficult. I mean, I don't know. It's difficult when you're introducing now cannabis. You're introducing cannabis into the county, and you're trying to control the opioids.
Yeah.
It's you're bringing more in and hope, but I don't know. It's going to be a difficult road to navigate, I think, in the future, and it's always been there. Alcohol and drugs are a big demoralizer in our our society. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix it. No one's figured it out yet. So
that's okay.
So John and I had a RAC meeting. Barry covered the shelter really good. So also at Dutton Locks, they are going to put up some signage for where the troll is how to get to the troll, because there's a path that goes through the woods that starts at the beginning of the bike trail, I believe. Isn't that where it was? And because the bike trail is used for a snowmobile trail in the wintertime, so they don't want people walking on that. So Project 412 is going to put a sign on each end to get to the, how to get to the
Snowmobile Club or
Yeah.
whatever was out changing signs.
same signs yesterday. Okay. Yeah. So that, yeah, we don't want people walking on the snowmobile trail. That's probably not a good plan. We also talked about the Heartland Trail. So the bids are going to be opening from the Heartland Trail from the Bridge to Nowhere to Frazee. They're going to have the bids starting in December, and they hopefully to be able to start that next spring.
Nice.
So that'd be cool. And then we talked about Bucks Mills, and then Woods and Wheels. They are they have their application almost ready for the GIA trails. They are just making sure that everything is right before they turn it in. So, and I think, is there anything else there, John, on RAC?
You know, our local Woods and Wheels chapter had a meeting with Senator Kupek up in Moorhead. They asked me if I could attend, and I couldn't attend, but I think it's important for us to stress too the importance of what it does for our community too, the trails and the ATVs, and this Grant and Aid Trail is one that I think will help bring more money in and more enforcement, so we can, and we all discuss that with the tribe too, that this will aid in both of those. And,
Yep.
and the tribal council was receptive to this Grant and Aid Trail also, so it's a good, and I think they indicated too that we would like to have these meetings more often, maybe twice a year, or with the council and just so we hear, and actually, after I left that meeting, we didn't hear a lot what they were going to do, and I think that's what I would like to hear from them, what's on their table, what they're thinking about that would affect us. I mean, not just what.
Discuss that.
No, not just what we're
discuss that,
doing,
no.
but I think if they want a relationship like this, I think they need to keep us in the loop of things going on that they're looking forward, and I think that would go a long way for us too.
One thing that trails with the ATVs is a Grant and Aid, it does allow them some funding to help maintain them.
maintain them,
And enforcement.
Maintain by themselves, so.
Yep.
Similar to the snowmobile trails in Grant. So.
And then the last meeting I had was Lakes Country Service Co-op, and they are electing, their election is up this year for 4 board members. And nobody ran against them, so they're expecting they all will win. But we'll know that in the meeting in December. And then one other thing too is they have a new building that they are using it's not a new building, but it's a building that was owned by the Alexandria EDA, and they're now officially moved in. They've got the payment schedule ready to go. They're going to pay the Alexandria EDA $5,700 a month until 2031 to pay for the building. Originally, they had budgeted $8,000 because they were going to secure a loan for it. But they weren't able to do that because the building is, I'm not exactly sure how this works. The building is either on airport property or in the airport property area where they could claim it to use it. So
Restricted area?
Yeah, restricted area. So now like they said, there's a 0% chance that will happen because they've all said it won't happen, but they couldn't secure a loan to purchase the building because of that. So anyway, they actually are still going to continue to budget $8,000 for it. And so they're going to use all that extra money they make to do their improvements, because they're going to use the loan money to do some of their improvements. And now they're just going to do their improvements over a period of time instead of, sooner, which will be fine. So that was actually kind of where they're actually really happy about that the EDA would rent them or sell them the building relatively easily and cheaply. So, and then the last thing there's a bunch of stuff we talked about, but the last big thing was they are having their national convention, the service co-ops in Orlando, Florida on December 4th, 5th, and 6th. And Jeremy Kovash, who is our executive director, is the president of that organization for this year for actually another month. So there's a bunch of board members going. I'm not going. I'm going to be gone a lot in December. But no, that's kind of exciting. And then the last thing, I guess, Eric and I canvassed the election last week, and what was it, 88% of the registered voters voted, and 2,700 roughly voted early, so, yeah, that's
Good turnout.
good turnout.
I thought it was more than that. I thought it was up to 6,000 had early voter turnout.
Yeah, direct ballot. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to probably have to plan on that, especially in presidential election years, to have a, pretty good area. I think Mary did a fine job this year, but I think we even got overwhelmed for a while there, so.
We had to have staff, yeah, to control the flow. We did
Yeah.
have.
And one other thing too, if you have a mail-in ballot, do not put it in the early voting machine because it will be thrown out and not counted.
Is it?
Yep.
Richard?
Well, very covered NRM and here I got human services, so I had environmental with you. I guess there, the only thing I see there is that we are getting closer to setting up something for organics.
Yeah,
So,
with the hire, or that new Green Corps member coming
yep.
on board,
And
starting a couple
hopefully
weeks ago, and she'll be working on that.
Be nice to get them out of the waste stream.
That is one thing, again, to point back to what our meeting with the tribal members is, they did compliment us on our,
Yeah, they did.
they think we're doing a very good job. So that was nice.
No, but other than that, unless you see something on there, John, I mean, that you want.
No, there's, one thing we discussed, researching alternatives for the reuse program, because that's growing pretty big out there, and how we can
It is.
handle it.
We just need to figure out, my concern is on the reuse program is that it doesn't end up costing us money. That's, if it can break even, it's great, but if it starts costing us money, because right now, we're sharing that with them people from the cities. What's the name of them?
Futures.
Better Futures. I should have remembered that, because, yeah.
Is there I don't know, and how do we advertise what's there? Maybe we should, but that would take time, that would take personnel too I don't know. It would just be nice to have it updated to a website on the county somewhere that it would show what's there so people can go and kind of see what's there, but you don't want to have people spending too much time documenting what's there when it's reasonable price, but.
Yeah, it would be good to even just advertise it more of that we have it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know we have it.
Yeah.
These new Better Futures, as part of their obligation, is to post that, they post on social media, if there's things for sale that are bigger.
Okay.
Than ours and that. So that's, it's not county staff or anything, it's Better Futures.
And there's something for everybody there, actually. There were some nice boat trailers there. That's not that I need one, but nice heavy boat trailers. You still have them, Steve? Yeah, it does, but that's what I mean, there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a good program though.
Well,
It
as
is good to
long
have.
as
Yep.
long as it don't end up costing us money,
Mhm.
then I think it is.
Yeah. Part of this out there is saving, it's sort of separating on the floor all the lumber and stuff like that, so it doesn't go in the waste stream. It can go up into our pile of waste lumber, rather than paying $135 a ton down to incinerator. And they've pulled off quite a few thousand ton since they started doing that, so,
So it's savings
yes.
there.
Or paying $80 a ton in Fargo, or,
Yep.
so,
No, we don't let people just like the tire pile, we don't let people take tires, do we? I mean, I think it would be a positive if we could, but the rule is we're not supposed to, correct?
No, there's people that come in and they'll shoot the tires and face the tire size.
Right. But we allow that? If,
There's a fair amount of scavenging, you want to call it, that goes out there. There's people who go through the demolition landfill, they'll wash, or some people go through the metal pile. We try to limit it because we don't want to put them in harm's way.
right, we have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen them haul some pretty good loads out of the
Yeah.
demo pile.
It saves the county money.
Yeah. The only thing, we have to have some order and safety concerns. Thank you.
Sounds good. I think everything else has been covered. Meetings, road tour, environmental, tribal meeting, RAC. That's about it.
Mr. Chair, something I'd like to bring up. There's an opening for Secretary Treasurer at the AMC because the individual that had it did not. And there's an opening for para. That would be a county representative. I did put in my name for the para board trustees. The issue that I have is they pay for travel expenses, but they don't pay per diem. That's what Matt said anyway. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm, they're all day meetings and they're down in the cities. They're eight a year. So it's a very big commitment, but I'm just weighing my decision. If I'm offered it, is the board willing to cover the per diem on that for me, for any individual that wants one of those two positions, or if they choose to? Because, it'd be nice if it was closer, but they do pay the travel expenses, so.
Yeah, I have no issue with
Yeah,
that.
I have none either.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm interested, but then I heard some of it's a significant time commitment, 8 meetings, and then you answer to general government, you update them on the reports but I do have some questions for them, and then it's investments, and so it'd be interesting, so. All right, thanks.
Good. Moving on to appointments.
The Corman Watershed they're up for election, and I think we'll do that give them the time. It's posted, isn't it, on our website for open and?
Posted in, it'll be in the next 2 Saturday newspapers.
Okay, so we'll make that appointment prior to the end of the year, or probably, I don't know if it needs 30 days posting, but the 2 that are there would like to be reappointed, so.
Just bring up a note that we'll probably have to fill Phil's position on Pelican River Watershed.
Phil,
Phil.
are you painting or?
I'm also the rack.
Yeah, we'll have to fill that too, yeah.
So
You can't get off those until you find replacements is the rule, so.
I told him he's on the rack as an individual now. Now he'll be on there as a commissioner, and then he can find somebody to replace him on the rack from out in the.
At Pelican River.
So, with that, move on to county administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things I wanted to put on the board's radar. We have in December historically done the Christmas tea or cookies with the commissioners, whatever we want to call that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So would like to do that as well as recognition of our outgoing board chair, December 17th. The committee had met last week while I was on vacation with regards to the homeless prevention grant money that I have referenced in several committees. And their recommendation is to award that money to the we had one respondent to the RFP. And with that said, is there any additional, do you want that to come by resolution, or do you just want us to, it does need to be spent by the end of the year, or we lose the money, or the money has to be returned?
Can they start before we do the resolution? Can Mahooby start distributing the money before we do the resolution, or do we need to vote on it first?
Well, that's what I'm asking. It might be cleaner, to get a motion and a second from this board since it came up very quickly, and we do need to have it spent by the end of the year. We did go through the RFP process, asked for anybody that would be interested in having an award that met that criteria, and we did just have the one, and therefore the money is sitting there. Either we, complement what another agency is doing for prevention of homelessness, or the money goes back.
you like a motion?
I would actually like a motion. The amount is 235,000. And the committee, their recommendation was for that money to go to Mahoobie.
I'll make a motion
Mr.
for.
Point of order.
Oh.
I just, it's not on our agenda. I think we should at least add it to our agenda, the
Oh, yes,
distribution
I-
of this money. It should have been on our agenda before with some background information, but I think it's proper for us to at least add it to the agenda at this time
Thank you.
and then vote on it. But
Add it to the agenda under county administrator.
Yes.
yeah,
I'll move to add the
distribution of,
distribution of
Funds
funds
to-
Homeless prevention.
to Mojave.
Yeah, and I apologize for that. I was actually just going to update, and as I was talking, I thought, oh, I probably need approval to move the
and
funds.
because of the timeliness, I'll second that agenda item.
You second?
I'll second the agenda.
Okay, motion by Dave, second by Barry. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Now we'll go back to the.
Now I'll make a motion to
Approve the-
to approve the distribution of the 235,000 from Mahoobie to.
Motion by Erica, second.
I'll second.
Second by Dave. More discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried, thanks.
And I think this was added at a late date, and this is funding that was given to us by the federal government, is it? State?
State.
And that had to be spent, I think timeliness was the reason why this was such a late on the agenda item.
Correct, yes.
Thank
that's
you.
Correct.
Can I add one thing to your discussion?
Sure.
I think we all talked about it, but with AMC's conference coming up in December and a new commissioner coming on, did you have that on your agenda?
I was going to address that if you would like, yeah,
I would like that to be him allowed to
okay.
go.
Yep, so I will start there.
thank you.
So everybody has been registered for the annual AMC conference, and there had been some requests by a few of you to also add the incoming commissioner. And so that was done. So registration was done, that if that's the wishes of the board, we certainly will honor that.
If Phil, if you want to go, you can. There's no requirement, obviously,
Yeah.
but if you want to, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, I did have a conversation with him
Yeah.
before we registered.
We don't want to waste the money if you're not
Yeah.
doing it, so.
No, I had a conversation with him too. And I don't know if you got meeting on your end changed a little bit or you'd just be gone.
I'm scheduled to go.
Oh, okay,
Took care of my township, so.
they can handle it. Okay, thanks.
All right. Also wanted to bring it to your attention, within my contract for county administrator, it was written in there that I would have a 6-month evaluation by this full board. So I would like to schedule that on our next board meeting.
Okay.
So that I don't take up time when we're trying to do well wishes for our outgoing board chair.
Well, with that, I have a comment. I can't remember who it was, and I apologize, but I had someone come up to me and tell me what a great job that you were doing working with them, and I can't remember if it was the city or whatever, but I would just want to pass that compliment along. They were very impressed with how you behaved them. So a little precursor to your,
Oh,
I've had several people tell me the
And
same
I
thing too.
also have had that. I argue with them, but they.
well, thank you for that. So that will be on the agenda for next round, and it was written into the contract, so.
is that a closed session or is
Yes.
that? Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I don't plan to open it, so yes, I would like it closed, yes. Let's see, what else do I have? In addition, we did add, it was requested that we add the agenda item as well to have a discussion about including commissioner per diems for the joint governance and for the road tour. So from that, I would like a motion and a second if we could.
Mr. Chair, the joint governance.
Tribal, the tribal.
Oh,
Well, I had both. I had the request for the tribal meeting, and then we've also, joint governance we've talked about, but those are
I
the
was
three
thinking-
newest ones, but
I was thinking the one prior to board meetings, that joint governance prior to a board, but that's not a board day.
correct.
So that's not-
Unless
that
we
is-
moved it off, but
That's
yes.
not what we're considering.
No,
Okay.
sorry. For the tribal meeting and for the road tour at this point.
The motion to approve those two, mileage and per diem.
What do you think? Highway committee gets pretty anyway for the road tour.
No, I think we're
that
all
one
there.
is-
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm fine with
Should we also add to that, if that joint governance meeting is not on a board day, because it did happen one time,
I think it was one time.
should we make that a per diem or not?
I think, why don't we look at that at committee things, and if it's a committee, maybe when we visit
we
committee
look at that.
assignments and seeing if that's a full
Okay.
board committee that we do that, then that would
Okay.
just be a committee
Okay,
as a whole type of
perfect.
thing. As the other two, I will make a motion to approve the road tour and the council
Joint meeting.
joint meeting as a per diem.
Motion by Barry, a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Dave. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Just as a point of reference, Peggy was telling me she did look at the 25 joint governance, and it does appear that they are on board meetings. So we shouldn't have that issue.
For the city county ones?
Yeah, the joint governance, yes,
Yeah, they always.
are
Yeah,
fall
yeah.
on our board meetings. So
I think last year there was one
This one,
that was like.
maybe it was
4th of July
rescheduled or
something.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. In your package, you had a request for Sunnyside, and perhaps the sitting commissioners would have more to offer, but it was a request for an equitable cost-sharing increase for them, for residents. So I would ask that, and there was a resolution that was provided to as well, and
Did Ashley come to finance?
no,
I talked about it at finance. yeah.
Carrie brought it up.
Ashley, I think, what did she email us?
She emailed it to us, yeah. She talked about it at our last meeting, and then emailed it to us.
And she asked for it to be on.
Yeah,
Did you say this was an increase
it's an
of
increase.
$7?
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe it was $7.
Seven,
Not to exceed 15.
not to exceed 1521.
What is the dollar amount in total?
Oh, boy. Is that in there? I don't know.
Estimate was
Was it
52,234.
Anyway,
I don't remember what the dollar amount was. That would be medical assistance,
That's the MA part.
yeah. And so then the total would be 67431 with the private pay, which is what is going
Yep.
up.
so what this is, it's it's a county-owned facility. It's a reimbursement that we get. We get from the state and federal, or we get funds for doing this. We get paid. I can't remember the ratio, but is it even same money or 2-to-1? I can't even remember. We've done this for so many years with Sunnyside. But I can't remember if I can't remember her asking for the increase, but I
No, she didn't ask for it. She said that they were looking, or when we were with Minnewaska, or they were with all of us, they had said they were looking at that value and maybe increasing it. I don't know if they said, maybe they didn't say increase, but they,
Want to just table to the next meeting? And get
well,
some more-
I would recommend approving it and
Yeah.
then addressing it at our Sunnyside.
We'll
meeting
talk
if
to her
that's-
on our
If
Sunnyside
that
meeting.
works for you guys, but,
There isn't a resolution.
I misspoke. I was thinking of my next item.
Okay.
no, she didn't,
because sometimes these wordage on these, they're not really an increase.
Yeah.
Because it shows that, but we haven't increased it for
No.
many years. We've
so
kinda
maybe
kept
maybe that's what she talked about.
So I would ask,
I don't remember.
I will make a motion to approve the request pending Sunnyside Board approval.
Motion by Barry. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
By Dave. Further discussion?
And just for a note that the Sunnyside Board can alter or lower, cannot increase
Yeah.
the request.
Sounds good. With that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
So So the last item, and I believe Brian is here to speak to the Crow Wing River Comprehensive Plan.
Morning, Brian.
Morning, Brian.
Morning, Brian.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we're in the final stages of the Crow Wing River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan stage here. The public hearing was held on October 17th for any comments from the public for modifications to the draft plan. And there was some minor things received and those changes were made. And now it's been submitted to Bowser for approval. That will happen, it'll be taken before the Bowser Board in January. Yeah, their January meeting, the end, like the 24th or something like that. But, so this resolution before you today is acknowledging that the Crow Wing plan will replace the Becker County Local Water Management Plan for that portion of the county. And that you will adopt, you agree to adopt and implement the plan once Bowser approves it in January.
Similar, pretty much similar to the Otter Tail Red Eye.
Yeah, basically the same as all the other four that we've done so far. And I need to go back in our records and ensure that we adopted the Mississippi headwaters, just so we have full coverage of the county. And it's only like 3 or 4 sections of the county, but
Yeah, I don't know. We did or not, that one.
so I may have to bring that to you guys someday.
To redo it, just, Mr. Chair, and Brian has been instrumental in not just, I mean, he's been very involved in every one of these for the county, and he's taken the lead on the wild rice, and just thanks for his input. And I think everyone knows that if these are done right and fair for each county, involved, I think there's less headaches and they're getting more than we are, and I think Brian does a real nice job easing those, because it is, and the policy committees I'm sitting on, they're looking at projects and they move them around. So thank you for what you do on that, and the trust that you bring for other counties too. It's not just us that trust you. I think everyone sees that this is pretty fair process for distribution of funds.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a whole new process. Now that we're 3-4 years into it, but kind of getting used to it, just trying to divide the funds up between where the projects are, and not everything's equal or equitable really. It's just where the projects are at. So it's a lot of communication between all the LGUs, and this one is a larger group than most. I think there's 12, 13 of us in that group. So it's a little different. I'm used to dealing with the Red River Valley for the most part, and this one's all Mississippi. So a little different bunch of partners than we've had, which is good. Get to know more people. But next, I hope to have next month on the 17th, the memorandum of agreement. That's for working with all those other LGUs to implement the plan. We're going to have a plan coordinator, a fiscal agent, and then a third to just coordinate do all the reporting and all that. So that'll all be spelled out. That'll also be very similar to the other MOAs that we've done. The other option was to do a joint powers agreement, which none of the other counties were interested in that option either. So the memorandum of agreement will be the route brought forward. And hopefully I'll have that on the 17th, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And what is the, resolution is 2C?
2C, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2C.
Second.
Motion by Erica, second by Barry. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Brian.
Brian.
Thank you.
Takes a lot of
I
time.
do have to say that there were several times in our meetings that people look to Brian for advice, just because Brian has been through so many compared to those on there. So yes, thank you, Brian.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. And this is our last one for the county now. And so now after 5 years, we get to go back and review, see if we need any revisions, and it's hard to believe that that'll be coming up soon with the Buffalo Red and the Wild Rice and the Red Eye. So,
I won't be at the meeting tomorrow. I have a joint powers meeting in Fargo. Anyone interested in going to attend tomorrow? Is
our SWCD board meeting's tomorrow at 8:30.
I have meetings starting at 8 and last one at 3:45, all day.
so
The Wild Rice Policy Committee meeting for the watershed plan is Monday, and I think you had a conflict for that one too, right, Barry, at 10
yeah,
o'clock?
I have a Lakeland Mental Health.
Would there be an alternate maybe?
Anyone want to be an alternate to a policy meeting? This is it remote or is it?
It can be. We prefer that everybody come in person, but
Anyone want to go up to Ada on
Monday at
Monday
10
morning?
o'clock.
I have Lakeland Mental Health,
I gotta see if I got anything going on.
but we'll see.
Monday the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
And they do need a quorum, otherwise they have to find a different date. And there's been a couple that have already said they couldn't make it.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
I did say if it was absolute, I could, but I'm missing I'm the vice chair of Lakeland Mental Health. Tough to miss that one.
What time is that at?
10 o'clock.
In Ada.
I think I can, but I'll tell you for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can, Dave, let me know. I'm
Okay.
free in the morning.
Yeah, I'm free in the morning too.
And it won't, these aren't long meetings, policy.
It'll be an hour at the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take you longer to get there
Right.
and back.
Yeah,
And that's,
unfortunately.
I think some of these policy, and some of them there's some agenda items, but sometimes it's just approving a plan, and those are nice just to have remote, and that's what we've done at Buffalo Red. It's just, we just need to approve this plan, and that's all the agenda there is, and then you do
Right.
remote.
Yeah, we're finishing up the FY21, the first watershed-based implementation grant that expires now the end of December, so we just need to review all that. That's the most important agenda item on this one.
Why don't you put me down, Brian, and you send me an email and I'll
Okay.
go, and if I can't go, I'll talk to John.
Okay,
I think I can.
awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
All right.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Do you want to take a break before work session?
We can.
Yes.
We adjourn and then go to work. Motion.
Oh, yeah. Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Take a break and come back. We have a couple of work sessions
Yeah.
to
Perfect.
hash over a few things.